Dark evidence presents the baby in the basement. The murder that haunted two families for 50 years. A baby crying, a door slamming, a woman screaming, then silence. White Bear Lake, Minnesota. A quiet suburb where nothing ever happens. Where neighbors wave at each other. Where children play in tree-lined streets. But behind one door, behind one seemingly perfect family, a monster lived. And for 20 years, no one did a thing about it. This is the story of Dennis Jurgens, a 3-year-old boy who was beaten, tortured, and murdered by the woman who was supposed to love him most. A case so horrific, so covered up, so buried by the people in power that it took a determined mother 20 years to uncover the truth. And when she did, she discovered something even more disturbing. She wasn't the only mother whose child had been taken by this family. January 1965, White Bear Lake, Minnesota. A 3-year-old boy lies dead in his crib. The official cause of death, pneumonia. The death certificate is signed. The body is buried. The case is closed. But Dennis Jurgens didn't die of pneumonia. He died because his adoptive mother, Lois Jurgens, beat him so savagely that his bowel ruptured. He died in agony, his small body covered in bruises, bite marks, and burns. And everyone knew. Neighbors saw the bruises. Doctors treated the injuries. Teachers noticed the fear in his eyes. Even the police, led by Lois's own brother, a lieutenant on the force, knew something was wrong. No one stopped it. No one spoke up. No one saved Dennis, the mother who never gave up. I just wanted to know what happened to my baby. Jerry Sherwood was 18 years old when she gave birth to Dennis Craig Jurgens in 1961. She was young, unmarried, and unable to care for him. She made the heartbreaking decision to place him for adoption. She spent the next 2 decades wondering about the son she'd given away. Where was he? Was he happy? Did he have a good life? In 1983, she finally decided to find out. She hired a private investigator. She filed paperwork. She waited. The news came back like a knife to the heart. Dennis had died in 1965. He was just 3 years old. But the death certificate said pneumonia. Something didn't feel right. Jerry requested the coroner's report. What she read made her physically ill. The coroner's report described a child whose body was covered in evidence of severe abuse. Multiple bruises, bite marks, burn marks. The cause of death, a ruptured bowel from a violent blow. Dennis hadn't died of pneumonia. He'd been beaten to death. But the coroner marked the case as deferred, as if a murdered child could wait. This made Jerry's blood run cold. No one followed up. No investigation, no charges, no justice. Lois Jurgens' brother, Lieutenant Jerome Zerwas, made sure the case disappeared. As Jerry dug deeper, she discovered a nightmare far larger. The Jurgens hadn't just adopted Dennis. They'd adopted 5 other children. Robert, the first adopted, witnessed the abuse. He lived in fear, ran away, and later testified about beatings, starvation, and terror. 4 siblings from Kentucky suffered sadistic abuse, beatings with belts, forced standing, deprivation of food, locked in basements. One by one, they ran away, trying to tell someone, but no one listened. No one believed them. Lois Jurgens was a respected community member. Why did no one stop Lois Jurgens? Neighbors saw Dennis with bruises. They said nothing. The answer is disturbing. Doctors treated his injuries, but filed no reports. Teachers noticed his fear, but asked no questions. Police received complaints, but did nothing. Lieutenant Jerome Zerwas, Lois's brother, was at the center. He controlled the investigation, buried evidence, and protected his sister. Court records revealed he impeded the investigation. For 20 years, the wall of silence held. Lois continued to abuse children. Jerry Sherwood had no power, no connections, no badge, but she had a mother's love and relentless determination. She contacted newspapers, called TV stations, telling anyone who would listen about her murdered son and the cover-up. In 1986, the media finally paid attention. The story exploded across Minnesota. Everyone wanted to know, how could this happen? Witnesses came forward. Neighbors described bruises. Babysitters told of rages. Other adopted children detailed their abuse. The wall of silence crumbled. In 1987, 22 years after Dennis Jurgens was murdered, Lois Jurgens finally stood trial. The courtroom was packed. Reporters from across the country covered every moment. One by one, the witnesses took the stand. Robert, the first adopted son, described the beatings he'd witnessed. She would hit Dennis with her fists, with belts, with whatever was in her hand. The 4 siblings from Kentucky described their own abuse. One sister testified that Lois had held her head underwater. Another described being locked in the basement for days without food. Medical experts testified that Dennis's injuries were consistent with battered child syndrome, a concept that barely existed when he died but was now accepted in courts nationwide. And the coroner who'd marked the case deferred was forced to explain why he'd done nothing. The defense tried to paint Lois as a victim herself, overwhelmed by too many children, struggling with mental illness. But the evidence was overwhelming. The testimony was devastating, and the jury saw through the lies. On May 20th, 1987, Lois Jurgens was convicted of third-degree murder. She was sentenced to 25 years in prison. The woman who'd tortured and killed a 3-year-old boy finally faced justice, 22 years too late for Dennis. Lois Jurgens served 8 years of her sentence. In 1995, she was paroled. She lived quietly in Stillwater, Minnesota, until her death on May 7, 2013, at the age of 87. Her husband Harold was never charged, though children testified he rarely protected them from Lois's abuse. He died in 2000. Lieutenant Jerome Zerwas, the brother who'd covered up the murder, was never prosecuted. He took his secrets to the grave. But Jerry Sherwood became a hero. Her relentless pursuit of justice led to a conviction, exposed a systemic failure, and gave voice to children who'd been silenced for decades. She told her story in a 1988 interview with Diane Sawyer on 60 Minutes. The segment was titled, "No One Saved Dennis." In 1992, NBC broadcast a television movie, A Child Lost Forever, the Jerry Sherwood story, starring Beverly D'Angelo, and Barry Siegel's book, A Death in White Bear Lake, became a true crime classic, winning the Edgar Award, called by the New York Times Book Review fascinating, exhaustively documented, a work of compelling narrative force and enduring value. The unanswered questions, even with a conviction, questions remain. How many other children suffered at Lois Jurgens' hands? How many others were abused, neglected, traumatized? Who else in power knew about the cover-up? The police chief, the county attorney, the judges who signed off on adoptions. Why did it take a birth mother 20 years to uncover what everyone seemed to know? And perhaps the most haunting question of all, could Dennis have been saved if someone, anyone, had spoken up? The final word. Dennis Craig Jurgens was born in 1961. He was given up for adoption by a young mother who loved him. He was placed in a home that should have been safe. He was killed in 1965 at the age of 3. For 22 years, his murder was hidden. For 22 years, his killer walked free. For 22 years, the people who knew the truth stayed silent. But a mother never forgot. A mother never stopped searching. A mother refused to let her baby be erased. Jerry Sherwood didn't just find justice for Dennis. She exposed a system that failed children. She gave voice to siblings who'd suffered in silence. She showed the world that even the most buried truth can be uncovered. Lois Jurgens is dead. The officers who covered up her crimes are gone. The neighbors who saw the bruises and said nothing have passed away. But Dennis's story lives on, and as long as it does, it serves as a warning. When good people stay silent, evil thrives. When institutions protect their own, children die. When no one speaks up, monsters go free. But the truth, no matter how deeply buried, always finds its way to the surface. Dennis Craig Jurgens, 1961 to 1965, murdered, forgotten, finally remembered. Jerry Sherwood died in 2007, but her fight for justice changed child protection laws nationwide. If you suspect child abuse, speak up. One voice can save a life. National Child Abuse Hotline, 1-800-422-4453. A child laughing, a mother's voice from an old recording. I just wanted to know what happened to my baby. He would have been 45 now. Maybe he'd have children of his own. Maybe he'd call me on my birthday. I'll never know. But I know one thing: he's not forgotten. Not anymore. Dark Evidence, where the evidence tells the story, but the heart remembers. Subscribe now.